Tower of Power is an American R&B-based horn section and band, originating in Oakland, California, that has been performing since 1968. They are best known for their funky soul sound highlighted by a powerful horn section and precisely syncopated bass guitar lines. There have been multiple lead vocalists, the most well-known being Lenny Williams, who fronted the band between early 1973 and late 1974, the period of their greatest commercial success. Their highest charting songs include You're Still a Young Man, So Very Hard to Go, Soul with a capital S, Soul Vaccination, What is Hip, and Don't Change Horses. History: in the summer of 1968, tenor saxophonist vocalist Emilio Castillo met Stephen "Doc" Cooker, who played baritone sax. Castillo had played in several bands, but Castillo's father told his son to hire that guy after a home audition. Together, they became the backbone of Tower of Power. Within months the group, then known as the Motowns, began playing various gigs around Oakland and Berkeley, their soul sound relating to both minority and rebellious listeners. Castillo really wanted to play Bill Graham's Fillmore Auditorium in San Francisco, but he realized he would never get in with a name like the Motowns. So, on a break from recording in a little studio in Hayward, Castillo was sitting on the studio owner's desk, and right in front of him was a long list of weird band names. He looked through it and saw Tower of Power and thought, yeah, that describes us. The band agreed, so the name stuck. By 1970, the now renamed Tower of Power now including trumpet arranger Greg Adams, first trumpet Mike Gillette, first saxophone Skip Mesquite, Francis Rocco Prestia on bass, Willie Fulton on guitar, and drummer David Garibaldi signed a recording contract with Bill Graham's San Francisco Records and released their first album, East Bay Grease. Rufus Miller performed most of the lead vocals on this debut album. The group was first introduced to the San Francisco Bay Area by radio station KSAN, which played a variety of artists such as Cold Blood, Eric Mercury and Marvin Gaye's album, What's Going On in its entirety before the Bay Area's soul and R&B stations became aware. Dusty Street of the Flying Eye Radio Network's Fly Low show and Sirius XM Radio was a DJ there in the late 1960s early 1970s. The single Sparkling in the Sand received airplay on famed Bay Area soul station KDIA. Augmented by percussionist bongo player Brent Biars, Tower of Power was released from their San Francisco label contract and moved to Warner Brothers Records. With Rick Stevens now singing lead, 1972's Bump City gave the band their first national exposure. This album included the hit single You're Still a Young Man, which peaked at number 29 on the Billboard Hot 100 and was Stevens' pinnacle vocal performance before leaving the band. Emilio Castillo, who, along with Stephen Cooker, co-wrote You're Still a Young Man, told Songfacts that the song was based on a true story concerning a former girlfriend who was 6 years older. Though not a big hit single, Down to the Nightclub received heavy airplay on West Coast FM stations and several AM stations. Both songs still get substantial airplay on oldies radio and remain fan favorites. Tower of Power, released in the spring of 1973, was the third album for the band. It featured Lenny Williams on lead vocals and Lenny Pickett on lead tenor saxophone. Bruce Conti replaced guitarist Willie Fulton and keyboardist Chester Thompson also joined the band during the recording of the album. This was the group's most successful album. It peaked at number 15 on the Billboard Pop Albums chart and was RIAA certified as a gold record. The album also spawned their most successful single So Very Hard to Go. Although the single peaked at number 17 on the Billboard Hot 100, it landed in the top 10 on the surveys of many West Coast Top 40 radio stations, hitting number 1 on many of them. The album also charted 2 other singles on the Billboard Hot 100, This Time It's Real, and What Is Hip. The latter is possibly their most enduring song. 1974's Back to Oakland spawned another hit, Don't Change Horses, that reached number 26 on the Billboard Hot 100, and Time Will Tell, which charted at number 69. On some of their releases in the mid-1970s, such as Urban Renewal, the band moved more toward funk than soul. However, They continued recording ballads as well. Williams left the band in late 1974, and was replaced as vocalist by Hubert Tubbs. Though the band remained popular, their days of chart radio airplay declined. During the late 1970s they briefly tried recording disco-sounding material. Leader Emilio Castillo said in an interview that the band's brief foray into quasi-disco was at the request of Columbia Records, who had the band under contract at the time. Tower of Power still tours extensively today, although there have been many changes in personnel over the years. At least 60 musicians have toured or recorded with the band over their 40-plus-year existence. These include current Saturday Night Live musical director saxophonist Lenny Pickett, drummer David Garibaldi, bassist Francis Rocco Prestia, organ master Chester Thompson, saxophonists Richard Elliott and Edge Groove, and guitarist Bruce Conti. Conti's cousin, BALCO founder Victor Conti, also played bass guitar in the band from the late 1970s to the early 1980s. Former lead vocalist Rick Stevens was sentenced to life in prison on 3 counts of first-degree murder for crimes committed after leaving the band. Stevens was paroled on July 20, 2012 after 36 years in prison. Bruce Conti rejoined the band in 2006, replacing veteran guitarist Jeff Tameluer. He departed after slightly more than a year, citing personal recording projects and health issues. Following Conti as guitarist was Charles Spikes, then Mark Harper. The band's current guitarist is Jerry Cortez. Collaborations with other bands: Tower of Power played the backing horn sections on Even It Up, the lead single off the band Heart's 5th album, Be Strange, released in 1980. Even It Up was a commercial success for the band and peaked at number 33 on the Billboard. Tower of Power has made guest appearances on other major recording solo artists' albums. They guested with Little Feat. In 1993, the band was featured on Luis Miguel's Eras, in a cover of Attitude Dance titled Que Nivel de Mujer. More recently, Tower of Power has been featured on Josh Groban's Awake, during an instrumental break in Machine. Roger Smith is featured on Dave Matthews Band's song If Only from their album Away from the World. Horn section collaborations: the Tower of Power horn section has gained renown as a separate entity to much critical acclaim. They have appeared on a number of other artists' recordings, including one of the most highly regarded early live albums, a performance with Little Feat in 1977, one of the 3 inaugural acts to perform at the newly opened Rock Palace Studios on the song, Rocket in My Pocket. Other performers supported by the Tower of Power horns include electric slap bass guitarist Larry Graham's Central Station, The Monkees, Grateful Dead, Santana, Elkie Brooks, Cat Stevens, Luis Miguel, Elton John, Linda Lewis, Rad, Jermaine Jackson, John Lee Hooker, Helen Reddy, Rufus, Rod Stewart, Jefferson Starship, Mickey Hart, Damn Yankees, Huey Lewis in the News, Frankie Valli, Spyro Gyra, KMFDM, La Lovett, Poison, Fish, Toto, Pharoah Monch, Brothers Johnson, Sam the Band, and Aerosmith, among many other acts. So Very Hard to Go was featured in the soundtrack of the 2002 film City of God, as well as Will Ferrell's Semi-Pro. Band members. Current members == Emilio Castillo, tenor saxophone, vocals, Stephen Doc Cook, baritone saxophone, Francis Rocco Prestia, bass, David Garibaldi, drums, Roger Smith, keyboards, vocals, Sal Cracolo, trumpet, Adolfo Acosta, trumpet, Flagellin, Ray Green, lead vocals, Tom Politzer, tenor saxophone, Jerry Cortez, guitar, vocals. Past members == Discography. Studio albums == 1970, East Bay Grease, 1972, Bump City, 1973, Tower of Power, 1974, Back to Oakland, 1975, Urban Renewal, 1975, In the Slot, 1976, Ain't Nothin' Stoppin' Us Now, 1978, We Came to Play. 1979, Back on the Streets, 1986, T.O.P., 1987, Power, 1991, Monster on a Leash, 1993, T.O.P. 1995, Sold Out, 1997, Rhythm and Business, 1999, Dinosaur Tracks, 2003, Oakland Zone, 2009, The Great American Soul Book. Live albums 1976, Live and in Living Color, 1981, Direct, 1997, Direct Plus, 1999, Soul Vaccination, Live, 2008, East Bay Archive Volume 1, 2011, 40th Anniversary, 2014, Hipper Than Hip. Compilations 1974, Funkland, 1999, What is Hip? The Tower of Power Anthology, 2001, The Very Best of Tower of Power, The Warner Years, 2002, Soul with a capital S The Best of Tower of Power, 2003, Havin' Fun, 2003, What is Hip and Other Hits. Singles 1972, You're Still a Young Man, number 29, 1972, Down to the Nightclub, number 66, 1973, So Very Hard to Go, number 17, 1973, This Time It's Real, number 65, 1974, What is Hip? Number 91, 1974, Time Will Tell, number 69, 1974, Don't Change Horses, number 26, 1976, You Ought to Be Havin' Fun, number 68. Videos and DVDs 1986, Credit, 2003, Tower of Power in Concert, 2007, Live from Leverkusen, 2011, 40th Anniversary. Note, over the years, there also have been many television performances of Top Ed though not released for sale. One worthy of mention took place in 1991, also part of the German TV live performance series Unfilter, Music Per, which included Tom Bowes and the other then current members. In 2011, Time Life released their November 10, 1973 Soul Train performance of What is Hip? On the CD The Best of Soul Train Live. See also, Matthew Shell, Lenny Williams. References. External links, official website.